Hi, Koppi here. Welcome to Overthinking Apex, a series where I overthink and analyze my Apex gameplay so we can all learn together. Here, I will dissect the good, the bad, the cringe, and the factors behind them as much as I can. Let's go. Okay, so in this clip, me and my squad are third-partying two squads that are fighting in this area. As you can see, I took the jump pad to get into high ground faster than Bangalore down here. And I can see that this looks like a horizon, I'm not so sure. But there's a horizon in this area. It turns out that it's an octane. So there's a squad in this building, but we're not so sure where the other squad is. Okay, this is a good scan from Bloodhound. It reveals that there are two enemies inside this building. I'm not so sure if there's a third, but I'm going to push it anyway and take a peek, maybe assess their situation. But in this case, I didn't, and instead, I threw a grenade. Now, if I shredded better, that could have knocked someone down. But it seems that Bangalore is also taking a fight on the other side of this area. So it's a bad idea to ego push two guys at the same time. Now, this is actually a bad peek because they can totally predict that I'm going out of this door. There's no other way for me to peek or get out of combat. So I got shredded bad. Now, if you're going to peek, make sure that it's not as deep as I did in this case. Because if you do that and you're facing a better shooter, it could have turned the fight really bad. So you can see that while I'm charging my shields, Bloodhound is actually good enough to at least follow up and also push there because I damaged someone. In a team play scenario, most of the time it's just switching places between who's giving damage and who's receiving one. Or who's charging shields, who's shooting. One right thing that they did is they avoided the fight altogether because it seems that it's not in their favor. There's only two of them so far and they really had to run instead of facing a full three-man team. Okay, so this squad comes from the northeast and it seems that they announced their positions too early by shooting. So in this case, whenever you're third party, please note that whenever you shoot your gun, be it an automatic weapon or a sniper, you're giving away your location. So in case you want to sneak, this is not a good idea. So compared to earlier wherein we managed to surprise, I think, Octane because he took the high ground, but I managed to track him at a decently damaging range. At this point, you can't exactly expect to knock someone unless you have aimbot in your game or you're really just good with jitter aiming and tracking at that range. Because of this, I already automatically assumed that this is another squad and there's likely one person that is close to us. Now, we may have been defeated in this clash if the three of them fired from this location because I was totally blind. I would have been blindsided if at least two of them beamed me from this location and I couldn't hear them at all. But because of this guy, well, I managed to respond in time. So cracking one shield means that I'm delaying their push by a few seconds because they have to charge that. And Bangalore seems to be in a fight on the other side. I'm not so sure if there's still another squad there or it's this third party. Not to worry about that scan. Bloodhound is in his ult state. Okay, I need to work on that. Sheesh. Okay, so in this clip, this is actually a better scan for Bloodhound. He can scan every 5 seconds during his ult. So there's two members here. I think the other one is around here, and I managed to get a glimpse of that one. See? she's moving there, really tiny. And she's pushing Bangalore, which is alone on the other side. Now, at this point, I actually decided to assist Bangalore because it seems like this guy is really aggressive. If we take this one down, we may turn this into a 2v3 situation. So I can cross this gap between us. I at least fired a warning shot of missile swarms here in case somebody peeks and somebody gets hit. So Bangalore is busy fighting, but I'm not going to notice this while I'm in game because I have tunnel vision. And Bangalore won, thankfully. But in case she didn't, I'm already there and I still have more health than she does. We could have overwhelmed that one guy. So I charge shields. Bangalore also does the same. And at this point, because one is down in this area, I'm pretty sure the other two will come rushing here. From what I observed in Plat lobbies or gold lobbies and other stuff, if one teammate is down, the other two will just come rushing in trying to save that guy. And sadly, that's usually a bad idea. In some ranks, if somebody makes a bad play, you shouldn't have to be punished by their mistakes. You can totally avoid the situation altogether if you figured that it's just much better to leave them alone. In this case, they really tried to save this guy, whoever was down. And I knew this, and I took the high ground, and you can see that they threw a grenade. And of course, common sense, since the last scan or last information I had, they were around here. So they're likely crawling up this area now, pushing me or pushing this building. And as expected, okay, I hear devotion fire downstairs. Okay, it seems that our Bloodhound is a team player. Even though we didn't notice what he was doing the moment that we knocked someone down here, he went here right away to assist. And as you can see, while he gave Bangalore enough time to charge another shield. Now, it's my turn because he took a lot of damage. I need to finish this guy off. And that's how we won this clash. So we ganged up on that one loose end of the squad, destroyed her, killed her as soon as possible, and when she was down, the other two came rushing to her to help her out, but they were outpositioned at that point. So a few minutes after our victory near Carrier and Oasis, me and my squad decided to move here. I think this is around Estates. I think this is the higher ground of Estates near Hydroponics. Or is that still the right term? I'm not so sure. So as you can see, that me and my squad, and there are still 8 squads left, we're focusing on being at the outer edges of the circle. Because as much as possible, you should avoid the middle. And if you check that map real quick, the middle isn't really a good place to hide at the moment, because you will be in the open, and you're surrounded by 8 other squads. So here, I took note and pinged 2 Evo shields at level 3, which is actually a good draw. But if we get pushed here, at least if we don't have time to charge shields, we can easily shield swap. Some other players actually take more time with shield swapping and preparing for shield swap sessions. So in this case, we didn't. I just left the armor there. Okay, so there seems to be a squad fighting here, and we've been spotted. We charge a bit. And now the ring is shrinking, I think. We just waited a lot here. This is why if ranked has this system wherein placement is more rewarded, there's a lot of passive gameplay. So we just fooled around for a while. And now that the ring is shrinking, and I practiced a wall bounce there, I paid attention to that enemy up south. Okay, so they're rushing from outside the ring. And that's actually a bad idea. If you do this last minute, somebody can gatekeep you. And we're just at the edge of the new ring. this seems to be two squads fighting, and as you can see, we're about to blindside this squad. I think I should have pushed from here. Bangalore could have ulted better if she ulted around here. At least that's more area, and they will have less cover. Okay, so one noob mistake, I apologize for this, is I thought thermite grenades will bounce off. I really forgot that they explode on impact. So if ever you want to do something like that, please don't. They don't bounce off. So I still played passively here, which is surprising for me. I should have played that very aggressively. Okay, so there's another guy there. I take my time. But I think when Bangalore... Okay, this is one thing that you should also learn from playing ranked. If you notice one of your teammates pushing, help them out, please. Don't leave them alone. You see that Bangalore actually did a blind flank here. They're not really expecting her to go into the zone. But yeah, this is a pretty risky play here. Okay, moment I hit that, I figured have to push and shred. There's no other way that, there's no other path that Octane is gonna go through. That's why it's a straight track. I was expecting him to run towards that direction. But I ran out of bullets. I couldn't finish Pathfinder off. I think I finished Octane off here. As you can see, one weakness of knockdown shields if you shoot around the lower left or lower right corner of the target model. So in this case, I managed to kill him fast because I was shooting around that edge or small spot outside the knockdown shield. I think for this part of the game, we actually didn't bump into anything else. I used my ult here. Yes, okay. You can see that I'm choosing a spot that we're still maintaining the corners, not the middle part of the circle. So I think we flew safely without interruptions and complications. Okay, I chose this spot because there are 3 rocks here, good for cover. There's also lower ground, we can peek in and out, and of course, there are no notifications nearby that there's another squad in here. So don't mind me looting. Okay, now that the ring has shrunk in size, and we're just looting around here, and I fired the missile there. Now I think someone's fighting there simply because there's a heat shield up there, which automatically means that there's a squad that came from there. If there's a heat shield there and we can see it from this far, that automatically means that someone is probably going to gatekeep them. I didn't expect that at all, so I'm assuming, because of Bloodhound's scan here, that there are 2 enemies here. The other squads are likely in this area alone, because the area behind me, to my left and to my right, are all open areas except for the rocks, and we checked those rocks before. What the fuck? I killed someone with a missile sword? Yeah, imagine my surprise. Okay, I'm pretty sure at this point we're pretty sure that this squad isn't going to push us, because who pushes a higher ground, especially if there's a lot of teams around. So me and my squad pushed further. You can see that there was a rock to my right here, and then there's another rock here you can use for cover. But this is a pretty bad spot because we're at the center of the zone. Now, this is one of my other mistakes. I get thirsty when it comes to getting kills. So I harass them with grenades too early, and you can see that the zone is still quite wide. So when it comes to grenades, just think of it this way. The less likely they can escape or reposition out of your nade, the better. So don't throw it too early like I did here. It's a good thing my teammates didn't throw theirs. You'll see that. You'll see why later. So we're harassing this squad. I figured I think I need to take another angle because if the three of us all peek from the same rock, we won't be controlling this area very well. So it's better to have more angles in some cases. So you can see here, somebody tried to shoot me real quick, but it was just a higher ground, so it's just a small peek. It's an unlikely push. I ran to this side. You can see that there are two other rock covers here. At least it's also at the edge of the final ring, if ever. And I found this rock, and behind it revealed this. So this is where the fourth squad is, and it seems that they haven't seen me yet. Now, one advantage of this, of being the first one to fire, is you can push a squad away from their cover, and you can force them to relocate. Now, if they reposition themselves, they are more likely to bump into other squads. So think of it this way. You're punishing someone for being in one spot, therefore they have to move elsewhere and eventually clash with others. So it's not about just controlling the positions or camping one spot. It's also being in a powerful spot wherein you dictate the pace of the fight. Like which squad goes against whose squad, or which squad goes against this squad, etc. To be able to do this at this particular range, you need decent recoil control. I mean, enough recoil control to shred the shield, or even better, knock someone. So my recoil control isn't that good. You can see that we push them out of this cover. Now they're forced to confront this guy. Whoever is here, you can see them shooting. And this is actually a bad spot for them. If this guy had 2 or 3 members, they could have been killed instantly. Because there's 2 squads facing them and they're in the middle. But they won anyway. I set my missile, they're going to do a shield swap. Okay, so there's one other squad here. You can see that an Octane peak there. This is an obvious mirage, but yeah, I still shot it. And I'm not so sure, did that guy just shoot his ally? I'm not so sure. Okay, so this guy peeked and I tracked him back. I was expecting him to go back in, actually. So one thing you should know about Apex Legends is when people peek outside of cover, you automatically assume they're going to go back in. So if you're using an automatic weapon or any flick weapon, automatically assume that they will. Because that will at least help you track your target better. Apex is a bit of a tracking game, so predicting where they're going is better. The better you are at predicting where your enemy is going, the more likely you're going to win. That's why tap strafing is quite broken if you're good at it. Okay, so they're fighting in lower ground. We have high ground and control. I was pretty confident at this fight at this point, but who knows? Okay, they finished the last squad because the last squad was just outside the zone. Round 5 closing is really painful, and it's still getting tighter. Now Bangalore ulted early to get them out of this area, so they'll be isolated in this little house, which is actually a good way to play Bangalore. Now Horizon, of course, there's no way she's going to hide inside this cover, and there's no way she's going to go elsewhere but left. So I tracked her here well. Not a lot of headshots that could have downed her. I should improve on that. Crack. And now Bloodhound and Bangalore let their grenades out. 41 side. Okay, the moment that Bangalore cracked, there are 2 shield broken notifications. That's when I figured, yeah, fuck this, let's push. Push. You notice that I shot at that bush early? Because that's, well, in YouTube, you've seen a lot of people hiding in the bush and healing there, hoping that they won't get noticed. I already knew that, so I pre-shot there, and there's damage output. Therefore, it's a good hit. And you can see that the three of us didn't charge in all at the same time. One thing you should know is when you're fighting close combat and there's 3 members of the squad versus another 3, if all 3 come in, some of your bullets may be hitting your teammates, so they're not registering. So it's better to swap in and out. Okay, we downed one. I take higher ground. That's a painful ult. Okay, where could they be? Bloodhound. Okay, there they are. It seems that the moment we pushed them out, they started to flank right away, aggressively. This is a mistake by Mirage here. During a Mirage ult, you can see a circle being formed with the real one and the illusions. Now, the smaller the circle, the easier it is to pinpoint where the real one is. So Mirage actually fired too early here. If he fired and he was already around this far from the middle of where he cast his ult, it would have been more confusing, because that means that we have a wider radius of illusions to consider, to check. So if you're a Mirage main, don't do this. Take time, be patient with your Mirage ult. Now you can see that Bangalore and Bloodhound is around my left and front. And my last location for the last member is around here, so she's likely healing inside the building. And that's my first win in Plat. Plat 4, I think. I think this pushed me to Plat 3. Did it? Not so sure. Oh yes, it pushed me to Plat 3. Okay. If this video helped, please smash the buttons indicated in the box. If you do, may you hear those satisfying sounds in your game and help the channel. This has been